theft is a significant issue in Nigeria, with the most common forms being meter bypass and illegal hook connections by consumers. The Nigerian electricity supply industry, NESI, loses billions of naira annually due to energy theft, with over 25% of the total energy wielded by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. To combat this, the Electric Power Sector Reform Act 2005 and the Nigerian Electricity Regulation Commission have established regulations and guidelines, including the electricity theft and other regulated offences regulations in 2013. Electricity distribution companies in Nigeria have also defended the hike in electricity tariff, saying Band A customers who pay the highest in the country enjoy the lowest price in West Africa. Recall that the hike in electricity tariff has continued to spark controversies ever since the government said it would stop subsidizing power for some customers. Joining us in the studio is the Chief Executive Officer, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors, and the spokesman for the DISCOs, Barrister Sunday Oduntan. Good morning. It's good to have you join us this morning.
Thank you.
I will begin from the major concern of majority of Nigerians, if not all Nigerians, with regards to the rationale and the justification behind this increase in tariff, seeing the economic situation. I recall that the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria has been speaking to this issue, talking about how it's affecting their productivity and production. We've also seen hospitals come out to speak, schools are speaking as well. So let's begin from there so Nigerians better understand.
Thank you very much. First of all, I think all of us need to agree that any country that wants to improve the quality of life of its people, whether in education, health, or you want to industrialize, you need an enabling environment that will seek to improve the growth of the electricity value chain. So we need electricity for us to be there. And without electricity, no country can progress. And when you talk about electricity, you are talking about a product. So when you talk about Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, we are also manufacturers of electricity. And when you manufacture any product, that product comes at a cost. So this is an issue about cost of production. And this is what we keep on saying, that it's not about us not knowing that the country is hard. I'm also a customer of 2 distribution companies. I'm a customer of Abuja electricity distribution companies when I'm in Abuja. And when I'm home in Oduntan, I'm a customer of Ibadan.
Under what band?
Oh, in Abuja, I'm under Band B. I was under Band A. They downgraded us about 2 months ago back to Band B.
Based on request?
Sorry?
Based on request?
No, we want Band A. But the distribution company couldn't give us push. They were honest enough to say that at that location in Abuja, they couldn't give us the quantum of electricity that is necessary to let us remain Band A customers. Because as Band A, I've never had to use my generator this year.
In Ogun State? What band?
In Ogun State, where I'm living now, I'm in Band C. And I'm hoping to move to another location in December where I'll be in Band A. In fact, I'm moving there because of electricity. Because when you look at it, it is still cheaper for you to be a customer of Band A, because you can be very sure on average that you get between 20 and 24 hours.
Well, there are those who will tell you it's because you can afford it.
You see, when you talk about the issue of affordability, as a matter of fact, every Nigerian household or every customer should seek to be in Band A. What we are doing is just a gradual incremental power production that will take everybody to a level that Nigeria can have uninterrupted power supply. And when you're talking about uninterrupted power supply, you have to link it to the price or the cost of production. And as you mentioned earlier, Nigerian Band A customers pay the lowest tariff in West Africa, Band A. Right now, I can quickly give you the figure. Mali has the highest. They pay $0.215 per kilowatt hour. That's Mali, followed by Togo. Then Burkina Faso at $0.23 per kilowatt hour. Senegal is 0.18, down from that 0.203. Then Ghana, 0.125. Ivory Coast, 0.119. Nigeria, 0.017.
But have we placed this
band A
side by side, the cost of living?
Oh, yes.
And also inflation?
Oh, yes. Wait. You see, that's why I said it in another forum that when Nigerians, if you're media people, when you go to Ghana or you go to Senegal, you come back and say, go and see what they are doing in Ghana, see what they are doing in Senegal. They are able to progress that much because people are paying for electricity. If we have the habit of paying and we recognize the fact that there's no business that can survive if the investor cannot recover the cost of production. That is the basic thing. So it doesn't matter which business it is. Now, when you talk about affordability, my major fear, or what makes me sad about Nigeria, is that in Nigeria we don't have data. Data will have helped government to be able to target those that need to be assisted. I believe that there are some people who need to be assisted. The old, the unemployed, and people in that kind of bracket. For instance, in the UK, every October, people that are 70 years old and over are given money by the government to enable them pay for electricity and gas during winter, right? But you cannot do that in Nigeria when you don't even know how many old people are in your neighborhood. You don't even know how many people are in the town or in the state or in the country.
So that's the failure of government, not the people.
Well, I'm not in government. And when you talk about government, who are, or what is government, who are government? It's people. People
so
make
it means
government.
You are part of government, even though you are not in government.
All of us elect people that are in government.
Right.
We are running a democracy, okay? And anything that we think needs to be done, it is the job of all of us to continue saying that it is time for us to start bringing together collating data. If you have data, then you can deal with a lot of these things. And I'll talk about a good news from the federal government, which I think is commendable. Last week, the federal government said they will now subsidize the institution of higher learnings, excluding the businesses within the institution. Go to Unilag. There are so many businesses within the four walls of Unilag. But if they can do that, and I hope they will choose a better parameter than what we had in 2013, 2014, when the government then promised to pay subsidy and they never did. Maybe they couldn't afford it, and that would still fall back to us and then create a lot of shortfall for the industry. They need to find a way of doing it such that maybe they do it directly to the university. As far as we are concerned, let the university pay their bills. I don't care how they get the money, but they need to do something to assist those they feel are in need. But talking about cost, we're still paying the lowest in West Africa. That is important. Nigeria is the giant of Africa. Nigeria should be able to come to a point where we can even generate a lot more than the 5,000 plus that we're celebrating right now. But we cannot generate more if we cannot invest more. We cannot invest more if we cannot collect more. We cannot collect more when people continue to steal the same energy. And that's a bad culture.
And that's where we're going, because you said that we're celebrating 5,000 megawatts. I don't think Nigerians are actually celebrating 5,000 megawatts when we know that South Africa, for instance, generates 40 and above megawatts of electricity. You mentioned the issue of theft, and they'll tell you that, well, we know that there is electricity theft, and one of the reasons is because of the economic downturn and the crisis that we're facing, and they do not make enough money. I read a report of a woman somewhere around this vicinity, published by the Punch newspaper, an investigative reporting, where the woman was angry with his workers that for 3 days they forgot to switch to the direct light they connected, bypassing the electricity, the prepaid meter. And she said she pays 15,000 naira like almost every day. No, 5,000 naira every day in a house and about 15,000 naira almost every day. So the electricity theft, they have their reasons. They say they can't afford it because how much do they even make in their businesses? So how do you think this has been affecting the drive to even generate more funds, for the electricity sector and revive this sector so it will be thriving?
Now, I would say first and foremost that the fact that the country is hard, or some people say they don't have enough money, is not a justification for theft. In fact, it is because we as a nation has failed in our various ways of dealing with crime that allows people to continue to do this and think, well, it's because I don't have money. It is not it's not a good reason for people to get involved in energy theft. If we have a judiciary that is not overburdened, or we create a system that we can have maybe a mobile court that will try electricity-related crimes, like that woman, they put her in a mobile court and take her to Ikeja market.
I don't know whether you're aware that these same people also, put the blame back on the discos, for instance, because they said that they were the enablers. Some of the officials helped them to bypass this meter, and they are able to, do it, and they pay less. They advise them to recharge these meters, these prepaid meters, and they're able to use it, for several months and all of that. So without enablers from within the same company, there will be no way there will be electricity theft in the first place.
Okay, I can confirm to you that meter bypass is done by different kind of people, including ordinary electricians in the neighborhood. That is not to say that we don't have bad eggs within the disco. But the issue of corrupt practices always involve two parties. Somebody will give, somebody will take. If any of our staff anywhere in the country come forward to demand for bribe to bypass your meter, if you're a honest Nigerian, there's no way you agree to that. And we keep saying to our people, when you see something, please say something. When you don't say anything or you feel it does not concern you, what you are doing is that you continue to lead Nigeria to a situation whereby we continue to rove around 4,000, 5,000, 6,000, and that will not help the nation to grow. So it is not an excuse at all. I know for a fact that things are hard for all of us. I'm also a customer of a disco, in fact 2 discos, like I said. But at the end of the day, the issue of electricity tariff is tied to the issue of cost of producing electricity. Electricity production is not cheap. Even using your generator is not cheap. In fact, self-generation costs you 5 times more than what you pay as a band-aid customer. And when people keep talking about this, the band-aid customers are only 16% of our customers, not 16% of Nigerians. 16% of our registered and known customers. And I use the word known.
Many millions are that. I think it's about 12 million.
Now, when you have that in a nation of 220 million people and at least 32 million customers, people that we know, but people that we don't know are there in the network. And that's why we're saying all this illegal connection or meter bypass combined together to increase the woes of the power sector. The whole of the value chain, beginning from the generation companies, transmission companies, distribution companies, and even the gas suppliers, need to be paid. Once we cannot remit, as discos, we are the collectors, once we cannot remit enough money off to the market, we are making it impossible for the producer of electricity to be able to produce enough. And that's what we're saying. Right. We all need to work together collectively to ensure that we play our part. On the part of us as operators, we need to be more efficient. We need to give out more information. We need to communicate more. In the last couple of weeks, Analyses has been going around the whole country, communicating with customers, enlightening people and explaining things. On the part of the government, we need to continue to have regulatory consistencies. People need to know exactly what you need to do to get what. Our meter suppliers, who are different companies entirely, meter manufacturers, you need to know, okay, this is what they need to know, this is how much it costs to do this. And for the government, beginning with maybe central bank, there's a need to allow those, for instance, the meter manufacturers to get loan at single-digit rate.
Okay.
So that will bring down the cost of meters. These are the kind of things. And for people, customers, their own part is to try and be honest. It's not enough to be sleeping at churches and mosques. We tend to be so religious. But when it comes to honesty, we are not there.
How do you mean? How do you mean the people are not honest? Because they are watching you and they want to understand how you mean they are not honest.
What I'm saying, the level of dishonesty on the part of our customers is mind-boggling. It is really sad. And when people talk about our staff, of course, they are Nigerians. We have about 25,000.
So explain to us what you mean by dishonesty. You need to expatiate on it, because you cannot.
What I mean is exactly what you said earlier.
Being dishonesty.
No,
being dishonest.
About dishonesty.
Yeah.
We're not saying everyone is dishonest.
Yes.
Okay. Majority of Nigerians are honest people.
Right.
But there are minorities. There are Nigerians that even believe that wherever you work, you must steal there. That is the truth. They ask you questions. Show me Jembe. When people ask you, do you make something extra?
Okay, that is what you are talking about.
That is what I mean by this.
All right, let's get to
across the board.
Let's get to the issue so that we narrow down our focuses against just speaking here and there. You were talking about revenue drive for the sector so that we can get some productivity efficiency from the sector. How about those ministries, departments, agencies that are owing?
Okay.
How far have we come with that? Because that's a lot of money's there.
This current government, over the last 1 year, and I will even say from the time of Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola as the minister, from his time, he started this move to get the ministry, departments, and agencies to be paying their bill. And they started by getting us to collate the debt being owed by these agencies. And when this new government came on board, they continued the thing and they stepped it up. Right now, we're in the process of getting them to pay their outstanding and to continue to pay. In some cases now, effort has been made with the military to ensure that their premises are metered and that they have to pay their bill. When we talk about MDAs, Ministry Department and Agency, we're still talking about customers. Just like you and I, we're customers. It is the same thing. In the time past, our staff are beaten up, particularly the Army. When you look at the Navy, the Army, and the Air Force, the worst, as far as the debt is concerned, is the Army. Maybe because there are many, there are more than the Air Force and the Navy. And when you have a situation whereby we cannot even go to their parents to check the integrity of what they are using. But thank God, now the story is different. We have better cooperation from them. We are able to work in a more collaborative way with all of them all over the country. So we're in the process of getting those debts paid so that we can settle the legacy gas debt is there. A lot of debt owed the gas supplier. It runs to billions. It's in excess of 90 billion. We're talking of billions. Same thing with generation companies. Same thing with Transmission Company of Nigeria. And this value chain, everything that happens to one will affect the other. And the major thing is the issue of cost recovery. The purpose of doing any business is your ability to recover your cost. The moment you cannot recover your cost, then you begin to cut corner. If you are a bread seller and people continue to steal your bread, or the people are not paying for bread, one day the madam that sells bread will begin to sell bread without nylon.
I am wondering how we got to this point where we owe so much money to generation companies and the distribution companies. Okay,
that has been the case even since the military era. So when we are talking about, when I mentioned legacy debt, when we are talking about debt, we have had a situation whereby people and agencies before privatization were not even paying their bill. And when after privatization, a lot of them don't even think we're in a new era, we're in a private sector environment, that we have people who have put their money out of patriotism into this business, and they cannot even recover their costs. So it has been an ongoing thing, right? But what I'm saying is that right now, the current government the federal government, they are making effort. They know, okay, few 1 month ago, the president read, perhaps through social media or wherever, in the news, that Ashura was owed the electricity bill. Immediately instructed them to pay, and they paid that week. But does it have to get to the president for people that work there, the civil servants or other people there, to know that they have to pay their bill? This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about. It shouldn't get to the point where the DISCO will have to threaten a ministry or a department or an agency that, okay, we're going to disconnect you, or a state government or state house. If you look at all our states, 36 states, at least 20 states, you find them owing in either government houses.
Right now?
Yes. Oh, yes. So these are the kind of things that we're talking about. And when the DISCO now go to demand for the money to be paid, the next day they will go and seal up the DISCO's office. Oh, you are owing us something tax. Okay, the DISCO should be playing their part, pay your own tax if you need, if there's a tax that you have not paid. But the state should not be mischievous and be blackmailing the DISCOs that every time we ask them pay your, I don't want to mention the state, there's a particular state governor who is known for that kind of act. And one day, I hope to be able to come forward face to face with him and say, Your Excellency, you are not being excellence. Because paying your bill is something that you should know, that you should do. Because when you run your generator in your government house, it costs you a lot more.
Well, it's a democracy, and I don't know why you find it difficult to mention the name of the state, if not, maybe not the name of the governor. But then you may still not want to do that. You know.
No, he might want to. Don't assume.
He might want to, because it's
you can mention this.
We are actually calling everyone to question, because we want this country to be better, and we have to call those who are doing well. After all, whoever is in power is representing the people, so it means the people are not paying. So who are the people that are not paying?
Okay, I think what I will do, I would rather collect the debt, outstanding debt, owed by all the 36 states, and I'll bring it here live for you to see one by one. You now see the one that are so humongous, you now see the one that are not as much. And there are some states that are doing very well, that they don't even joke with payment of their bills. There are states that are like that. That's why I don't want to mention anything. I will mention a state, and I want to put a figure to it. I will rather mention a state and say, is that how much they are owing? But we all know the problem we have, different layers of government, federal, state, and local government. We have a lot of issues when it comes to paying for electricity. Things are getting better now than it was in the past. But I'm still appealing to them to please put the nation first.
But he who wants to come to equity must definitely come with hands. You know, just like you said, by the time DISCOs or the electricity officials are actually trying to collect their, get them to pay their bills, they also go back to say you have not paid your tax. So it means that they are also, the company is also faltering in one way or the other, because you mentioned the issue of dishonesty. If there is a bribe collector, if there is no willing collector, there won't be a willing payer. So we still have the issue of crazy billing, those who don't have meters. So how do you refer to that? Is that honest?
Number one,
people to be billed, indiscriminately.
Let me make it very clear that it is true that those who are on estimated billing is evil.
It's evil.
It is evil. Let me repeat. Estimated billing is evil.
But it's in practice.
It is not in the interest of we as operators for people to be on estimated billing. And I'll tell you why. Yes. I'll tell you why. I went to Kaduna, and I discovered somewhere in Kaduna, not far from the NDA, a gentleman posting of paying 6,000 naira a month. And this is a man that had more than 12 hours of supply. If you have 10 hours of supply, on average, in a month, in this country, and you are paying 6,000, that is a complete nonsense.
Without prepaid meter?
Yes. If you have 10 hours, let me repeat, of supply, with the cost of production, with what we're talking about today, when you're talking about appropriate tariff in this country, you have 10 hours daily, and your bill every month comes to 6,000 naira, and you don't have a prepaid meter, you don't have a meter, it can be prepaid or postpaid, then that is wrong. So the answer or the solution to that is for every single household to be metered. And the current president has made it very clear. What they are trying to do now is to ensure they get enough funds and get the meter manufacturers who are external third-party companies accredited by our regulators to work with us towards ensuring that everyone is metered. So those who are not metered, they waste energy more than those who are metered. You can check that out in your neighborhood. If you go along any street in Nigeria and you see light on outside in the afternoon, check, that person has no meter. Those who have prepaid meter will tell you that they manage energy so much because they know, they see the units, the way it is going. If you're in Band A, go to Band A homes now. I was at a friend's house at the Keja GRA last week, and I was amazed. In the sitting, we were watching TV. He switched off everything. Oga, not a little bit, I can even see each other. I said, no, your Band A is killing me. I have to manage it. I love that. Manage energy. You see that what you are even paying as Band A customer will not be a big deal to you. But what you find in Nigeria is very big men. Then their living room, often in the bedroom, the light is on. Kitchen, the light is on. Guest toilet and all toilet, the lights are on. In the afternoon, you come to the front of the house, some lights are on. We cannot continue like that. If we manage it, we'll be fine. In the evening,
some will tell you that management is relative.
When you are going to bed, switch off the light.
Some will tell you management is relative, so that it is left to them to decide how they want to manage their electricity.
See, those wastages is also the reason why people come forward and say, I pay so much every month.
But they are.
We can do without wasting energy. That's what I'm saying. There are some things that we don't need to do. So in terms of crazy bills, yes, the reason why I said estimated billings is evil. Number one, let me make it very clear.
Right.
There's what we call estimated billing methodology, which was created by a regulator. There's a guideline. They don't just give you any amount. No. But even at that, the solution, like I said, is metering. So some bills can be crazy, but some bills are not crazy. Right. Sometimes it is the owner of the bill that is crazy. You cannot have
because of our time. Right. Yes. Quickly, what is the state of meters in the country? Do we have them readily available? There are those who have paid for months now and still haven't gotten meters.
Okay, I know that earlier this year, so many people were complaining that they needed to pay for meters. Some paid.
Yes.
For meters, they didn't get. The reason for that was when that spike in dollar to naira rate happened. Because the regulator fixed the price of meter for meter manufacturers and meter suppliers, not us. Okay? And those suppliers, the cost of meter, the cost of bringing in those meters or producing the meters was higher than the selling price. So they couldn't do it until recently, when that reality of our time, inflation, foreign exchange, because when we mention foreign exchange, every time I talk about power sector, people should remember Forex. Why? More than 80% of what we produce in power sector are imported. That's another problem for Nigeria. Until we get to a point where we have an Ajaokuta in place and we can produce chips and certain things in this country, we have to remember dollar. Okay, today, dollar is about 1,600 naira. $1. So they reviewed the cost of meters. And once that was done, I can tell you, as of today, there's no disco where you cannot get meters. Pay for your meter, you get your meter.
At what cost?
Well, the three-phase meter, I think about 180-something thousand. I can't remember that offhand. Then same thing with the single phase, where you can see the movement. As of 2014, single phase meter was 24,000 naira. Today you can't get it for that. So it is because of the inflation, the lending rate, the foreign exchange.
So whoever goes to any disco now can get
under meter asset providers. Yes.
Right. Quickly. Now there are those who have asked the question: this matter of raising funds, how is that addressing the matter of the efficiency of the sector at the end of the day, because this year alone we have seen the 7-time grid collapsed, and then some persons are still talking about not having energy as it is. How is that addressing
let me address
the issues?
When you talk about national grid, you are talking about Transmission Company of Nigeria. Okay, let me address that first. In fairness to TCN, the federal government owns the TCN 100%, so right. It's not private. We are private; they are not private. Okay. Now, government have spent a lot of money on investment as far as the TCN is concerned. And when people talk about grid collapse, those 7 occasions that you mentioned, like the last one, that the media say, oh, the grid has collapsed. It is not all the time that the grid collapsed because of either inefficiency or the issue of the infrastructure. It is because of vandalism. People now vandalize the high tension, those big high tension lines. It happened in Nasarawa State, it happened somewhere in the South recently. And once they do that, when people vandalize that, the grid will have to shut down.
No, they just vandalize it and steal the materials, or they just vandalize and then leave.
They steal the materials, those cables. And I'm surprised.
There's a market.
You go to Alaba market, you look, we're in trouble because in other climes, you cannot steal those big cables because there will not be buyers, receivers for it. But in Nigeria, I'm surprised. They even use those things to produce other things. Again, this is where our security agencies also need to work very hard. So the TCN has improved over time. I've been here on this program in 2018 for the major battle between us and the then MD of TCN. When we kept on saying, no, you guys are the weakest link, you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. And I can say that today, there's a huge improvement across the value chain. We have improved, even the discos, even the generation companies. Today, the electricity has improved, and I challenge anyone to tell me if they have not had an improvement in their power supply in the last 2 years. So what I'm saying is that the issue of inefficiency, efficiency is linked to pricing. Any product you are producing, if the price is wrong, your efficiency will be low. So you cannot talk about efficiency without talking about pricing. That's why I mentioned the bread seller. If if the cost of bread, if the cost of production or the landing cost for a loaf of bread is 100 naira, and you ask Mama Monica to be selling it at 60 naira, that means there's a shortfall of 40 naira. That woman will begin to cut corner. You get bad bread without nylon. Now the new types of bread, you see that they are light. Press it like this, because inside that bread there's a big hole. That is cutting corner because the pricing is not right. Efficiency is linked to pricing. Right. That is the truth.
So are we to expect another increase in tariff anytime soon?
Okay, the issue about tariff increase, number one, our regulator is the one saddled by giving the right under the law to review tariff. And don't just be thinking about increment. Recently, they moved band-aid tariff from 206 naira per kilowatt hour to 205 naira per kilowatt hour because naira gained against the dollar. And when they did the next review the following month, then naira has lost ground again. Right. So they moved it a little bit from 205 to 209. But nobody praised NAC when they moved from 226 to 205. When they do good things, let us praise them. The media, you have a lot of role to play.
So the answer is either yes or no. We do not know now. Right. We'll leave the conversation here. Barrister Sunday Oduntan, Chief Executive Officer, Association of Nigerian Electricity Distributors and spokesperson for the DISCOs. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right. And finally on the show, we went to the streets to ask Nigerians